Okay, Rakshanda, we can start now.
Okay, sir. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back on the third session of last day of 1 week online faculty development program on skill development for employability and entrepreneurship, presented by Training and Placement Cell, Guru Jameshwar University of Science and Technology, Hisar, and sponsored by All India Council for Technical Education. Students moving out from campus and entering a corporate world need to do a lot of planning and behave more responsibly. Therefore, it's important to empower fresh graduates with tools to refine their personal and professional excellence for transforming their lives to enter the corporate world. So let's bridge this gap together. I would like to call upon the Assistant Director of Training and Placement Cell of Guru Jameshwar University, Hisar, Dr. Aditya Veer Singh, sir, to welcome our honorable speaker, Mr. Mohit Singh. Over to you, sir. Hello, Pratap sir. I think sir is having trouble with network issues. Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Now you're audible. Okay.
Okay, so no issue. On the behalf of Training and Placement Cell of Guru Jambeshwar University of Science and Technology, Hisar, I express my heartiest welcome, heartiest gratitude towards Mohit Singh ji, who is working as, who is basically taking care of all the training and placement activities at NIT Kurukshetra, which is a premier institute of our country. And so he is the very, you can say, right person to talk about this very important topic of how we should move ahead from campus to corporate. So this is our FDP session, and this is basically, you can say, last this entire FDP, and we have invited Mohit Singh ji for this very purpose to impart this very important topic. So I request Mohit Singh ji to start his session, and heartiest welcome on behalf of entire Guru Jambeshwar University of Science and Technology, Hisar. Thanks a lot, Mohit ji. And I think Aditya ji, you are also now able to.
Yes, I'm trying, but there's no some network problem going on in my.
Okay, so no issue, no issue. I have introduced Mohit Singh ji, so Mohit ji will be starting his session.
Okay.
So first of all, thank you, Pratap sir, and thank you, Aditya sir, and Professor Sandeep Arya, and all the team of the GJU team who is coordinating this FDP program. So the intent of this campus to corporate connect activity is mainly just to make understand both the campuses and the students, the area where we guys are lacking. And my intent for this session, like for next like half an hour or so, I'm going to make sure that this session is more and more interactive. I'm also going to understand from the student perspective and the campus perspective to bridge this campus, or maybe you can call industry academia hiatus. So guys, I request you all to make this session as interactive as possible. So before starting the session, I would like to share some interesting facts with you guys, and you will be surprised to know, and maybe these facts will be quite hard to digest for you guys. You will be surprised to believe that less than 20, or maybe like let's say less than 25% of engineering graduates are employable just after getting graduation from Indian engineering schools. Coming to, let's say, about MBA stats, if I speak about, less than 10% of the students are employable after getting their MBA degree from our institute. Now, these two things are sufficient to attract the attention of both industry and academia, that there is something wrong going on in our education system, and maybe the education system is not getting updated with time to meet the requirement of industry standard. Last year we also have conducted certain surveys with the several organizations, like more than 300 organizations visits our campus every year. We had interaction with a lot of HR people, a lot of technical guys to understand what are the problems basically these guys are facing. And you'll be again surprised to know that more than 5,000 recruiters have commented that they are unable to find the right fit for their organization. But what the news or maybe the aura or maybe the ambience which we are getting around us is that there are lack of opportunities around us. So now there must be certain mismatch in these two statements. So through this session, I would like to dig in into further to understand what are the areas where we guys are lacking, what are the areas where the institutes, the organizations, and the student can play the active role to overcome this part. Let's understand this from a very basic example. For example, when I interact with my grandparents, my parents, or maybe my faculties or my mentors, they have a very traditional lifestyle in their when they graduated from their campuses and when they started their corporate life. So their lifestyle was sort of like initial phase of their life was decided as a learning period. So the period in which they are going to go to the campuses, complete their studies, get certain interpersonal skills, communication skills, or whatever it is required to go to the next stage of their life. Post that, there is another stage of life. We can call it earning period. So first stage was learning period and the second stage was earning period. So based on the area, based on the knowledge or the expertise or the competency these guys have gained in the level 1, they are going to earn in the level 2 to fulfill the needs and wants of their family, or maybe to fulfill the needs and wants of the society. So this is the way most of the, like, this is the traditional lifestyle before, like maybe 10 or 15 years back. But what if you take up this scenario of existing employability? The matrix has purely changed. Now we cannot afford to totally rely on the stuff which we have learned during the learning period. And rightly said, when I was listening the previous speaker, she has clearly pointed out an example of Nokia, how Nokia got outmoded. And she clearly mentioned shared the reason why these guys, when they refuse to upgrade their product, they have to be like pushed out of the market. Certain other players came into the market who are not as great as the like product Nokia had at that point of time, but still the Nokia being a king at that point of time, like is no more that much reputable player we can see now into the market. And the only problem with that was because Nokia was quite adamant to the traditional life cycle, which was maybe quite reliable 15 or maybe 20 years back. But now, if we are going to stick with that psyche, if we are going to stick with that type of mindset, things are not going to be very positive for us. So indeed, it is very, very important for all of us to understand that there are certain things which we all needs to do at our level, at our institute level, at the organization level, to make sure that things remains in favor of like our employability, or maybe we remain like we at least we do not become redundant with time. And now this is very, very important for all of us. When I talk to the organizations about their hiring psyche, or maybe their performance metrics on the basis of which they evaluate the competency of students, 70 to 75% of the organization have already discarded the earlier competency metrics, like this traditional life cycle, which was much relevant 10 years back. And trust me, within 5 years, more than 95% of the organization will stop this traditional life cycle of which we used to follow earlier. And that's the reason why we are getting a lot of unemployment in our country. Now, in order to bridge this unemployment, or maybe the scenario where the people are not getting the job which they really want to do, we need to understand the nitty-gritties of how we can become more adaptable, how we can learn the way the technology is changing, the way the things are evolving around us, So these all are very, very important for us. And through this FDP session, I would try to dig in to the nitty-gritties of this and will help you in understanding what are the areas where we really need to work on. The solution for unemployability is, if you ask me, like, there is a principle, we call it Pareto's principle. Most of us have studied during our academic life, that and if you pick it up in the management side, we can call it that if we work on the 20% of the area, there is a potential to get 80% output out of it. And there are areas where if we put 80% of the efforts, there are chances that we will just get the 20% output of it. So my thought and my recommendation to all of you will be that you need to focus on that 20% of the area at least, which is going to give you the 80% output of and instead of focusing on that 80%, which is only going to give you 20%, maybe energy wastage, or maybe not a very smart work approach. So let's understand what are the skill set required and what are the things a college, organization, and the students need to do to assure that they remain employable in the 21st century. Now, let's look at the scenario of current. Let's start from the institute angle first, because being a FDP program, let's talk about the institute first. Let's understand the psyche, how the training and placement cells, or some of the private institutes call it as a career management cells, how these cells work. When I interact with most of the placement officers and the placement team, I feel that there is a major change to major thing which need to change in their thought process to revolutionize, or maybe to meet the existing standards of the employability. First is, most of the colleges focus only on the placement metrics to map their success. If a college is getting good placement, it means the college is doing good into the academic world or whatever it is. So the performance is mapped on the basis of placement stats. But if you look and this is quite aggressively followed by most of the private institutes. I'm not saying that there is something wrong about it, but that this approach, if I call it like, it's basically a short-term fix. In order to fix the problem from a long-term perspective or from a visionary perspective, we need to understand how the training and placement cell must be designed. So instead of training and placement cell, there should be a big umbrella where we can call it as maybe career evolution center, because this is a center which is helping in the evolution of students' career. This is the area where the foundation stone of students' career is laid. So we can call it a career evolution center, and in that the 4 pillars are very important for any career evolution center. First is, the campus must focus on the developing and nurturing the entrepreneurship spirit among the students. For that, they may call it, like traditionally we call it entrepreneurship cell. So we can have a very active entrepreneurship cell in our campuses. Now, why to focus on entrepreneurship is very, very important to understand. People have entrepreneurship cell in their centers, but that is not that active, and even the management is not paying much heed to that. So that's need to be understand. If you look the big players like Paytms or maybe Oyo or Amazon and all, at one point of time, these all guys were startup. And every day, a lot of startups are coming up. There are a lot of incubation centers. Government is also promoting a lot of schemes through which the entrepreneurship is getting promoted. And trust me, the startups are the new employers of 21st century. That's the biggest market we have right now, which is purely untapped by the campus part, and even for the placement angle. And you'll be even again surprised to know that what I found during my NIT Kurukshetra journey is, like, I'm here taking care of 2 campuses, NIT Kurukshetra and IIIT Sonipat. I found that most of the students struggle to get job opportunities in a startup if with the same roles and responsibility MNC visits our campus, because the matrix of the evaluation of startup is quite dynamic, quite different. in comparison to the metrics which the MNCs have. And you'll be maybe you will disagree with me on that part, but a little bit of research on this domain may give you a very good clarity over that part. I was in touch with several of the CEOs, and when they visit other campus, the expectations they have from the candidate is quite different in comparison to an MNC, because MNC have a structure which is quite defined. The roles and responsibilities are quite defined. This is the area where you need to work, and this is going to be the performance metrics, and this is the areas where we are going to evaluate you at your competency part. But if you speak about the startup part, things are very dynamic. You are all like, for example, let's say if you're joined marketing, maybe you will also be taking active participation into the product development stage. You will also be working with the UI development team very closely, because you are continuously interacting with the customers. You understand the customer psyche well. You will also be working with sales team, marketing team, a lot of players. So even sometime you will also be working with the CEOs of the company and helping them in raising funds for their startup. Now, this demands a very dynamic profile. And trust me, the evaluation metrics for these startup when they visit our campuses is far higher than the MNCs coming to our campus. And if we have an entrepreneurship cell in our campus, we nurture the basic hygiene into the student from the foundational level. Chances of getting good opportunities in these startup, which is a major area for employment of 21st century, we can surely create a win-win situation for all the stakeholders. So this is the first pillar. Nourishment of that has not been done yet, and there is a lot of scope of improvement. There is a lot of unawareness among the students, among the maybe the management is not taking accountability of that part, and the institute needs to work in that domain very aggressively. Now let's come to the second pillar, which is very important for career management services, or maybe you can call career evolution center of any institute. This is campus to corporate connect. I feel that there should be a team who is purely responsible for managing the relations with the corporate people, understanding the needs and wants of the corporate people. Now, you may ask why it is required. See, the way industries are growing and the way academic institutes are growing, there is there is a big difference between the you can call it the way both of these are moving. So the pace is quite different, because of which the industry academia hiatus is increasing day by day. Maybe 15 years or 20 years back, this gap was not that big, which was not attracting our attention. But the stats which I shared while starting this presentation, it was like, man, if the problem is that big, you cannot afford to ignore it at that point of time, at this point of time, basically. So there should be a team who is responsible for interacting with the industry people, understanding their needs and wants, and designing their curriculum accordingly. What we can do for that is, let's look at from a solution-oriented perspective. What we can do for that is, the campuses can create a platform where the industry people, the academicians, and the students can come to a platform. They can have an open discussion about the needs and wants of each other. Bringing academic leader is important, because once they start interacting with industry people, they get to know that where their academic curriculum is lacking. Bringing students is important, because bringing students at the let's say, for example, if I talk about the engineering college, bringing them at in the first year and second year, or maybe pre-final year, is very important. If we bring these students in touch with industry people at this point of time, this gives them a competitive edge in comparison to other students, and also help them in laying a framework through which they can design their strategy to get into that organizations, or to help them in assuring that they get the placement in that particular organizations. I am damn sure that none of the elite institute is doing it. Even the IIMs, IITs are not doing this program with that intent. And this has a lot of scope for both the institute and organization to understand each other. And without this matchmaking, the placements and services cannot be taken to a different height. Otherwise, it's always going to be a struggling story for either of the parties. Maybe the organizations will be struggling to get the right talent, and the institute will be struggling to get the right people into their campuses. So this is very, very important. For that, we need, and traditionally it is called as industry cell, but again, this cell is not that active. Honestly, whenever I have visited any of the institutes, I rarely find people actively working into the industry cell with the vision where they can bridge the industry academy ahead. So that is an area where we need to really work on. Now let's come to the third pillar, which is also again very, very important. We can call it career management services, or it's traditionally called as training and placement cell. Now, what should be the goal of training and placement cell? And I think this needs to be reimagined, uh, because all the placement officers and the placement team needs to come together to create a framework where we are working with a vision that we are grooming a product in a way that these students will remain employable in 2030s, 40s, and 50s. So if we are not working with that vision, chances of revolutionizing it and reinventing it is very, very difficult. What I've done, in particularly speaking about NIT Kurukshetra, what we have done is we have designed a very different strategy for it. We call it flip hiring model. Now, what is this term is basically designed by us only. And so what is the intent of flip hiring model? So what I have done to the flip hiring model is we have purely removed placement as our goal. What we are doing right now is we are inviting the organizations to hire the student as an intern, not for the full-time employability. Like, for example, we have reinvented our curriculum in terms of UG. In UG, we have a full semester internship model in pre-final year. Now, most of the corporate, or maybe most of the people will say that it's good to have it in 8 semester, not in 6 semester. But making it in 6 semester give a competitive edge to the students and a competitive edge to the organizations also. For example, let's say if you talk about Flipkart or maybe Amazon, Microsoft and all, what's their major challenge? Their major challenge is the students' attrition rate. 25 to 30% of the students leave these organizations within a year of their joining. Now, this is a big cost to these organizations. Retaining relations with these organizations when your student is living within a year is very, very difficult. So what we thought is, let's create a system where student before joining the organizations go to the organization and work there for 6 months. Both the industry and the student have a discussion that yes, whether this is the right fit for that student or not, and whether organization also want to accept the student with this particular thought process or these particular values or not. This helps us in getting a better match in comparison to an organization directly coming, having an interaction with 15-20 minutes and directly extending the placement offer. So comparatively, we are the attrition rate of organization had decreased drastically, which ultimately has helped us in making our relations better with the organization. The same things we have done into the masters also. Like, we are actively promoting the 11-month internship model for our master students. We have 21 specializations in masters. Whenever I reach to the organization, I always say them, don't come for placements, come for internships. Hire these students for 11-month internship, monitor them, evaluate them, and if you feel these guys are the right fit for you, extend them the placement opportunities. Now, this creating this ambience needs a lot of courage, because at one point of time, you're not asking the organizations to extend the placement offer, but again, at the same point of time, you're also assuring that your students are getting the required exposure, industrial exposure, which is the need of the hour. So the focus of placement should be to strategize the things in a way that we are making things easy for the students, so that they become like the industry is ready to accept the talent pool which we are nurturing in our campus. This is very, very important. Now let's come to the last pillar, which is which I think 99% of the campuses are missing. I believe there should be we can call it a counseling cell where the students can get the psychological support, or you can say a mental support from a dedicated psychologist or maybe a psychiatrist team. When I interact with a student, the issues like anxiety, depressions, loneliness, and a lot are there in campuses these days. And there are obvious reasons for that, because the way technology, the way the needs and wants of the academics, the organizations is changing, students are not feeling secure to that level. Indeed, it is very important to assure that at the same time when the students are participating or grooming themselves for the placement activities, they are also getting the psychological support, because nowadays the organizations are also making sure that this person's thought process or psyche is matching our culture or not. So they are also, several organizations are also having psychometric tests to evaluate the psyche of the students. And if students is not psychologically fit to their culture, they refuse the offer. Initially, it was quite surprising for us, but now the organizations are focusing a lot on bringing in the right mindset people, and they are very adamant to it. They have no compromise metrics to this. Now, these four pillars, creating these four pillars is not only going to solve the problem. What we need to assure at the same point of time is we are assuring that all these four pillars are integrated in a way, in fact cross integrated in a way, that we are nurturing the placements as an output of it. Without that, things cannot be changed drastically. Now, this is what basically I believe could be done at the level of training and placement, or we can call it career evolution center. Now, let's look at from a bigger picture what all can be done at the institute level. There are a lot of IITs and the elite institute who are focusing on building up the research park into their institutes. Now, what you understand by research park could be different from could differ from institute to institute. What I understand from the research park is we are creating a platform, we are creating creating an ambience into the institute where research, the organization people, the tech people, along with that, the academician of our institute and the students are coming together to create a new product. Again, this is basically a backbone of entrepreneurship cell also, because rightly said by the last speaker that it's not important that whether and it's not possible even if you start thinking in a way that, oh, I need to think in a way that I should have a startup idea with me, I'm going to launch the startup, I'm not getting the idea. So if you'll just think with that thought process, maybe you'll not be able to get the idea. And to get a good idea, it is very, very important that we need to keep our biases and heuristics aside to evaluate it. So creating a research park is very, very good idea and a very innovative area, and the institute must actively look to assure that they have the collaboration with the best organization, they have the best organization people into their campuses and into their organizations, and along with that, the students are getting the equal benefit of it. So creating a win-win situation for all the stakeholders should be the goal of these part. Along with that, I believe that there is a strong need for the institutes to assure that their faculties are groomed with the latest technologies. And for that, I feel the best strategy is faculty and staff exchange programs. There are very few institutes in our India, and even abroad also, there are very few institutes who are running the faculty and staff exchange program. Now, to understand the faculty and staff exchange program, I think we can do it in this way, that we are sending our faculties to the organizations, and we are bringing organization people to our institute for maybe for teaching the curriculum, or maybe to understand the curriculum, or maybe to redesign our curriculum. So, and again, the faculty which is going to the industry is going to understand the needs and wants of the industry, what is the exact demand of the industry. Post that, these two parties can sit together and can design a curriculum in a way that, again, it's a win-win situation for all the stakeholders. Now, none of these initiatives have been taken care very seriously by most of the institutes, and that's the reason mostly private institutes or maybe several colleges are struggling for the placement. But if any college is just looking placements, like just looking the placements as the final goal of their cell, then I don't think we can fix the problem from a long-term perspective. It's going to be a short fix. It's going to be a myopic vision for all of us. Now, although there are several things which a campus can do to revolutionize the existing education sector, but I think that's sufficient. If even if we take care of all these points, the basic hygiene can be covered to a large extent. Now let's look at from another perspective, another side of the desk. Now comes to the student psyche. What exactly a student need to assure that they remain employable, they get the best job opportunities, and how they can tap those job opportunities. Are there job opportunities or not? So all these things we are going to discuss in this part of the FTP part. When I started interacting with the students and asking them their strategies, like how these guys are preparing themselves for placements, uh, I'm not getting that satisfactory results, or maybe that satisfactory response from most of the students. Even I have communicated with a lot of campuses with their placement teams. What are their strategies? How these guys are preparing for them? So the response which I'm getting is not that great. But again, let's look at it from a smart perspective. What if I have to, what are the areas where I need to focus on so that the chances of getting good opportunity is very, very high. So again, implementing that principle which we have discussed earlier, focus on those 20% of the area which is going to give you 80% of the output. So we are going to discuss the areas where the student really need to focus to get the best opportunity in any of the organization. First and foremost thing, most of the HR recruiter focuses is they test the candidate competency on the basis of the project, the industrial project the student has done in their during their campus life. The first question, or the whenever it comes to the evaluation of project part, most of the students struggle to explain this project in front of industry people. Now look at from this way, like for example, you are a recruiter, you are going to recruit someone who is unable to explain the research project which he or she has done during his college time, then of course that's very clear, that's clearly a reflection of the competency of that particular candidate. So you need to make sure that you know the nitty-gritties of your project. You know what are the possible scopes, like maybe the latest technologies happening which are one way or another way related to your project, and how your project is somewhere related to that particular industry or not. So understanding your knowledge from a 360-degree angle is very, very important. For technical interviews, this thing plays a very, very important role. But if an organization is coming for a generic profile, let's say management part, or maybe business development, market research, consultancy, somewhere like related to management part, then one thing which is very, very important for all the candidates to focus on is, tell me something about you. Most 99% time, the organizations always ask this question, tell me something about you. And if you cannot impress the interviewer from this particular question within 20 to 30 seconds, chances of getting selection reduced or by almost 80%. When I discussed with the HR, and this was quite surprising for me when I had an interaction with these guys, they says that within 20 to 30 seconds, we can tell the competency of a candidate by asking this particular question. Tell me something about you. And you will be, and of course you can try this in your classrooms also. Whenever you ask this question from any of the students, your classmates, your batchmates, tell me something about you, 99% of the content of this particular questions revolves around the academic part of it. Like, I've done my 10th from this school, 12th from this, I'm doing my BTech in this particular branch, I have scored this much CGPA, I have participated in this research project, blah 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 blah. So the question is, tell me something about you. There, must be something about you which is quite interesting apart from your academic profile. And most of the students struggle to explain on this dimension of this question. And as a result, you are nowhere different than the other candidates who are also participating in that particular drive. For example, let's say if you ask me, tell me something about you, and I say that I am actively participating in an NGO where I have helped these many people in changing their lives, and then so it tells a lot about me, that apart from curriculum, I am also in socially inclusive and involved in a lot of activities. So this reflects my personality, and in fact this validates my personality, that yes, this guy has been holistically nurtured and can be a very good asset for our organizations. Work, I'm sure that if you guys simply work on this particular question, tell me something about you, and work on your profile, and you present yourself in a way that you can be an asset to the organization, things becomes very easy to crack any of the interview. And specifically, if I speak about the MNCs, they, as I already shared, that these guys are very focused, and very like, for them it is very important that the person who is joining our organization must have a diverse must bring in diversity to the culture of their organizations. So diversity of culture is very important for big MNCs, and even nowadays it is also important for the cultures, because when they bring the diverse set of people together, the thought process changes drastically. It all helps throughout the organizations to have a fresh perspective. So it is very important that you should prepare this particular question in a very nice manner. Along with that, uh, most of the colleges, good colleges, and do not have the clubs and societies in their campus. Even if that's fine, if the college management is not actively building, or maybe they are unable to build in the past, you student should come together to build and nurture certain societies. You can, like, for example, you can have a society where students can come together and have debates, have discussions. You can also have a society where students are going to play some music, or maybe write something, or maybe where you guys are going to come together to raise money for a particular cause. So a lot of things can be done, and trust me, when you start actively participating into these clubs and societies, there are a lot of benefits of it. Firstly, the organizations will be quite impressed from your profile. Along with that, the learning you get from these clubs and societies participation is invaluable. You cannot compare it with any other experience of your college. And this is the area where most of the college students miss the opportunities. They think that it's not important to participate in these clubs and society, even though if they have it in their campus. But trust me, if you are not doing this, you're going to pay a big cost to that in the coming future. Coming to the next point, when I interact with a student, I find that most of them are not avid readers. They don't read a lot. So reading is very important, because the way technology is changing, the way everything is evolving, it's very important for us to stay updated with the latest trends. And most of the organizations, the HR people, when they come to our campus, either for GDs or in any round of the interview, they make sure that they assess the student on a matrix where, like, how much he or she is aware about the things happening around him, or maybe the change in the technology, or maybe the latest cutting edge technologies into the industries. And if you're not reading the diverse stuff, that is more important. You must read, but along with that, you also need to ensure that you're reading a diverse content, so that you can have a holistically developed personality, holistically developed intellect, and you can answer the questions. Or maybe even answering the question for interview should not be the goal. The goal is that you are at least aware what is happening around you, and that's bring you to a very strong position of deciding what are the areas where you want to pursue your careers. So it is equally important from your perspective, from your personal benefits also. When I before this organization, when I was running a startup, I was leading a team of startup. So we were working into artificial intelligence and machine learning, and we were designing certain softwares for healthcare patients. I found a very interesting part there, and I would like to tell this experience or share this experience with a quotation. This quotation states that lack of awareness is the biggest employability. And trust me, if you will understand the words of this particular quotation, a lot of answers you will get, like why people are unemployed, because they are not aware. So lack of awareness leads to the biggest unemployability. Along with that, that's the biggest opportunity also, because if people are unaware, it's an opportunity for you to grab those particular opportunities which other people are unable to do because of their unawareness. So if you use the awareness as a competency, it's very easy to enter or to grab the best opportunities which comes to you, or maybe you are hunting for. It's very, very easy. But for that, you need to make sure that the way you are nurturing your career, the way you are nurturing yourself, the way you are grooming yourself is very, very important. You need to maintain the hygiene of your journey in which you are evolving. Now, although there are a lot of things which can be done at the students, and when I just discuss with them, most of them says that we do not have good placement stats in our campus, because of which we are unable to get the job opportunities. I believe we are living in 21st century where networking sites are very, very active. You go to the LinkedIn, you can connect any industry people. If you have the skill set of and you know how to develop your networks, how to pitch your profile, how to reach these people, how to ask for help, how to connect with them. If you know the right strategy, getting a job opportunity is not a big problem. And along with that, the students also need to have a thought that, or maybe their mental model should be like this, that it is not purely the responsibility of campus to get the job opportunities for you guys. You are equally responsible to support the training and placement cell, or maybe any center by whatever name you have in your campus. You are equally supporting the team of training and placement cell in outreachability of your campus. Because once these students are the product of of that particular campus, and if these product are speaking aloud, they are reaching to the industry people, they are connecting to the industry people, and industry people are impressed about the way you guys are interacting with them. So getting these organizations into your campus is not going to be a big challenge. So it's not the responsibility of training and placement cell solely to make sure that you guys get placed. It is also your responsibility to extend your helping hand to this team. Also sharing your what type of profile you guys are looking for, what type of organizations you are looking for. It is very, very important for all of you. So and if, trust me, if students, the student community increase their awareness level and come together and join hands and support the training and placement cell, doing miracle is not going to be a big job, is not going to be a big challenge for any of the training and placement cell team. But at the same point of time, the management of training, the management of the institute also need to make sure that they are putting a required effort to assure the hygiene of their product. The way they are nurturing their talent is also equally important. Now, this is all about the way things, the management can change, and the way the students can change, or the value proposition canvas for both of these parties, where they can come together and they can perform well. Now let's look, this is all about the campus to corporate connect part. But along with that, I would like to share something about the way 21st century is evolving. See, if I say, like, for example, now the technology has changed to a level where if I log into Netflix, the Netflix is going to tell me which movie I should watch, which web series I should watch. So because the technology is smart enough to understand my needs and wants. If I log into Amazon, Amazon is going to tell me, or maybe recommend me, that these are the product you should buy. Similarly, the technology is getting intelligent, or maybe artificial intelligence and machine learning is coming into the picture, that they are competent enough to take decisions on the behalf of human beings. We have matrimonial sites where, you know, matchmaking is done, where looking at your profile and the looking a profile of suitable partner is recommended to you. Now, things are changing, and in future they are going to change exponentially. They are exponential. The technology is going to be exponentially competent, but it's not like that human beings cannot beat the technology or cannot match the way the technology is evolving, or maybe the human beings are going to be replaced by technology. There is nothing like that. But surely, if people are not putting sufficient thoughts to themselves, or maybe they are not doing the required introspection, human beings are very soon, maybe by 2030s or maybe by 2040s, they are going to be hacked. Now, what do you mean by hack? There is no need to be worried on that part. Nowadays, we can easily get the news that the email account has been hacked, my Facebook account, my Insta account, my maybe Paytm account got hacked, and blah blah blah. So hacking a human being is going to be equally easy down the line, 10 years or 20 years, because the way we are sharing our database, the way we are integrated or maybe touch with the technology know much more about us than we know about ourselves. If I again going back 15 years or maybe 20 years back, the generation was quite mentally stable, was quite emotionally nurtured, emotionally stable, and was a generation who introspect a lot. But this generation is moving very, very fast. Along with that, they are lacking the introspection part. They really don't know what exactly they want to do in their life, what type of personality they are. Like, for example, asking a basic question, tell me something about you, speaks a lot about the personality of human being. Because if you cannot tell about who you are, I don't think you can do justice with a lot of things. So let's look it from this way, that this campus to corporate journey is not the journey of just entering into the college and getting a placements. It's much bigger than that. And in order to assure that you groom in the both of the domain of your life, it is very, very important that you take care of your career, you nurture, you strategize your career in
शेयर
a
कर
way
लेना, साथ
that
वाले
you
बच्चे से ले
remain
लेना जब आएगी टाइम,
employable by the age of
मोबाइल शेयर
20,
कर लेना।
30 and 40s and 50s. And you need to make sure that you are adaptable. You need to make sure that you have the skill set of adaptability, because if you're not going to adapt, things are not going to be easy for you. For example, let's say if you have just now, if you, let's say if you have completed your graduation in 2021, for example, your education is not over. Every year new technology is going to come. Every year you need to make sure that you are learning those technology, you are meeting the industry standards and all. So it's very, very important that you should have a very open mindset that yes, I'm ready to learn, I'm ready to I'm very adaptable. Whatever technology is going to come, whatever latest things are going to come, I'll be aware, I'll learn, and I'll groom myself, and I'll keep myself updated. If you have this much flexibility, there will be very, very, very few chances that you will be unemployed at the time where technology will be on boom in the coming year, maybe 10 or 15 years ahead. So it's very, very important for you to strategize the same things from the beginning. Because for example, if I'll ask my father to be adaptable and to learn coding or something like that, he will not be that much open. He'll say that no, I'm around like 60, let's say, and I'm not that much comfortable to the technology. I don't know how to use laptop or maybe anything like that. But you cannot afford to be that rigid in your comfort areas. So you need to make sure that you are developing the mindset in a way that you are very open, you are very flexible, you are adaptable, you're making yourself, you're keeping yourself aware. Along with that, you are making sure that you are holistically nurtured professional. You have uh, a vision which is looking things from a perspective of what can happen down the line 5 years or maybe 10 years. Honestly speaking, no one knows what's going to be the job scenario of 2030s and 40, but that doesn't mean we can sit idle at our home. It means that if we don't know, then it's an opportunity to guess on that part, to think on that part, to explore the possibilities, that okay, these may be the possibilities down the line. and we are going to explore, and we are going to make sure that we are planning our journey accordingly. So that's all from my end. Thank you so much, sir, everyone, for joining this session. Over to you, sir. Pratap sir, Aditya sir, I think I'm done.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Mohit ji. So any participants who have any questions for Mohit, they can ask directly by switching on their videos, or they can put it in the chat box also.
Anyone having query may ask questions if you want.
Okay, then. So thank you. Nice and very educative presentation session given by you, and I hope a student must inculcate these things which you have told them, because this is very important for their coming future, and for those also who are the faculty members who are associated with the students and organization directly or indirectly. So once again, thank you, Mohit ji.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Mohit ji. Actually, this session was informative for we as a TNB cell also.
Yes.
Thank you so much, sir. It's like we are learning from you guys also. Like if I speak about Aditya sir has helped me a lot in getting placements in Philips. So he was purely coordinating the drive when I was into campus.
Okay.
So it was a great help. Like the complete team was so much supportive. So it's always a pleasure to be there for you guys.
Thank you. Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you.
Take care, Mohit ji.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, it is requested to switch on all the for the students to switch on their cameras for the group picture.
For a group photograph.
Yes, sir.
And immediately after this, we're going to have the validatory function, and our worthy registrar of Guru Jambeshwar University will be the chief guest. So I request to be present there 1 o'clock, sharp at 1 o'clock. And followed by that, then we'll have an online test. The link of the test I will mention in the chat box. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mohit. See you soon again.
Thank you, sir.